Hi, welcome to Crafting with Kimberly. I'm Kimberly Canale, and today we are going to be making glass etched jars. These are really fun to do with jars that you would normally be recycling. It's a great way to reuse some of the products that you have lying around the house and use them for something that you wouldn't normally use it for. You can continue to use this as a container, or you can turn them into vases, whatever you'd like. But the etching cream is really fun and easy to use, and you can see you can use almost any kind of jar and get some really cool effects. Now, I'm going to have to change my clothes because we're going to be having to do this in my basement. So I'm going to go get ready. See you soon. Okay, we're now down in my basement because I have a porcelain sink, and you cannot use Armour Etch on a porcelain sink. It will take the finish away. So in my basement, I have a set tub. So we're going to be using the plastic set tub. I have my jars all down. This is going to be a very interesting one because I was having a lot of trouble getting the stickers to stay on. These just did not want to stay. So I'm experimenting completely with this one. So what I'm doing is I hot glued my stickers on. And then as long as I was hot gluing, I'm trying to do some little dots to see how that works, if that would work. Because I'm going to assume I can peel this away when it's all finished. You can see I did my best of trying to get the hot glue off because it did ooze out. I did my best, but you know, this is definitely not going to be a perfect one because I have glue left on the edges there. So when I put the Armour Etch on there, it probably will not do it on that part. So it's going to be probably a little bit messy, but you can see I did some dots. I've got my stickers. This was really hard to get all this glue off. There was just no way. I scraped and scraped. So we'll see what happens. I just more so want to see kind of the swirly effect. So with this one, I'm going to be putting, it's going to be like a reverse effect. So I'm going to be putting Armour Etch all on the outside of this and any clear parts that you're seeing. So it's going to etch all of that. And then when we rinse it off and take the stickers off, then this part should be clear. So as long as nothing oozes underneath, that one should work. With this one, I've got the book dots, you know, using them for the old paper. We used to have to put these on our paper for binders. So I've got those stickers all over, and you really want to make sure you burnish everything down. These are wanting to come off too. These are really old. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to put the Armour Etch inside the centers of the circle. So I'm going to leave all of that part clear, and I'm going to just do the flower. You can see the flower there. So I'm going to do just the inside of that, the inside of the dots, but not all around the edge. And then this is your basic stencil. And what I needed to do was put some painter's tape around the edges because it was a thin, small stencil. So you don't want any Armour Etch to get on any glass, because if it touches any of this glass, it's going to etch it. And you'll have streaks. So I want to really make sure that I have at least the part where I'm rinsing it off is going to be covered. I didn't need to worry about the back, but if you want to be safe, you could put painter's tape all over. I also don't really care about the bottom, even though my stencil kind of goes down to that edge. I'm not really worried about that. I don't care what that's going to look like, because when it's standing, you're not going to see that. So even though you can see there were some bubbles, everything is pushed down. when it's a big area and there's bubbles, there's not really a problem. But if it's on the edge, you just really, really want to take your fingernail or burnishing tool. Try not to scratch your glass, but you really want to make sure that is all burnished down, because anything that's sticking up, any little opportunity for that Armour Etch to touch, it is definitely going to go in and etch. So there was a really big bump there. So now you can see I got that smooth. You just don't want anything to go under. So you just want to really make sure everything is pushed down and that your area is protected from the Armour Etch. I have glasses on. You do want to wear safety glasses. I have rubber gloves because this is kind of nasty stuff. I'm going to use, these are just those basic food grade gloves. I'm going to be wearing these to put the Armour Etch on, but then when I go to rinse it, I'm probably going to put these pink plastic gloves on. I've got a paintbrush to be able to get in all the nooks and crannies, and I've got my container of Armour Etch. This stuff is really toxic. So you want to do it in a ventilated area. I unfortunately am in my basement, and I can't run a fan because then it would be hard for the video to hear. So I'm taking one for the team for this one. But you really want to be either outside or in a ventilated area. So I'm going to start. Again, I also have my work surface down here protected with plastic. I'm just going to start just doppling it on. And you want a somewhat thick coat. Not thick enough where it's going to be all drippy, but enough where it's coated well. And you're going to put this all, just dripping it. Trying to get it so you can see. You're going to just put it. You can see I'm just dabbing it. You don't want to use a foam brush. You want to use a paintbrush. Foam will eat away a little bit, and it also can leave the little pieces of foam, and you don't want that in your Armour Etch, or you don't want that left on your glass. So you can see I'm just dipping, getting a good solid coat. I don't want it to run, but I do want it thick enough where it's going to stay on there. You can see, like I said, this is my messy basement. I've got clothes hanging up. Just had a great haul at the Salvation Army. So I did a easy load of that. So it's all hanging up because I don't like to dry things. All right, so you can get the idea. You can see I've got that on pretty thick. So you're just going to go through with all of these now and just get it in there. Giving yourself a good dollop of everything, because you're going to have to be able to stand this up, because it has to set for a good, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes. You really want this to set well and let it do its job. And as it moves, you can see I'm just kind of going back in there and dabbing it on. So I'm going to just set this one down for a second. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this one. And again, with this, I said I am not going to have the sticker part showing. I'm going to have it all around it. So this one's a little easier when you're doing that method, because I can kind of go right over my sticker. I'm hoping that it's holding holding down, because if your sticker is not on tight, it is going to seep underneath and then you're just going to have a blob. This is really trial and error, and glasses are all different. It depends on how much, I think it's borosilicate. It depends on the makeup of your glass, of what works, what doesn't. I know there are certain Pyrex ones that will not etch well. I also did a picture frame, and that did not. It took forever. I had to have the Armour Etch cream on for about 3 hours. It just did not want to take. So I would check a little bit, and then when I saw that it wasn't etching yet, I just let it sit there. So it's really trial and error. I know on the container it says leave it on for 15 minutes. Be safe. Definitely do it for 20. And think about, like with this, I'm dabbing it right now, but because I'm covering the entire space, any kind of mark that I leave, any brush stroke, is going to show. So if you don't want it to show, then you're just going to do what I'm doing right now, is you're going to go over this and just kind of make sure that it's all covering everything. And we're going to cover this entire jar. So those are really the two different ways to put this on. Dabbing it on with just inside your stencil marks, like I did with the dots, or doing the reverse effect and having it go all over your jar, and then any stickers that you're using, that will give yourself the reverse effect. Or if you've made stencils on, they sell stencils, or if you've made your stencils on a Cricut machine like this, with this one, I'm just going to go in the clear spots to get that etched on. I'm going to finish this up and I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it has all the cream on it. Okay, this one is finished. So you can see I have the Armour Etch just in all the little dot areas. So I made sure all my stickers were down. It's thick enough that it's staying, it's not dripping. But I also didn't go, you can see that's not too thick. It's got a little bit of a mound to it, but it's not so thick and drippy that it's going to come right off and go down on the rest of my jar. So that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to let that one sit for about 20 minutes. I do not have high hopes for this one. As I was doing this, my stickers are lifting up. I just could not get them. I don't know why they did not want to sit on this bottle. So I think this one's gonna be kind of a hot mess. We'll see what happens. It's a learning experience. You can see I'm just dabbing to make sure that everything is covered. The nice thing, these are yogurt jars, and I really like this yogurt, so if it doesn't work this time, I can try again. So you can see it's just dabbed on there, so I'm going to let that one sit. Again, I don't have really high hopes for that one. And now I'm going to come to this jar and do the stencil area. As we said before, this was made with the Cricut with sticky back stencil paper. It really does help when you're putting them on. I did have to use transfer paper because it was really difficult with some of the ones that I put on. Some of the lines were really, really small. So when you have really tiny thin lines, it's hard to pull that off your stencil and then try to get it on your jar and burnish it the right way. So using the transfer paper really did help. So again, I'm not really brushing. I'm dabbing. I'm just kind of tapping, as you can see, making sure this gets in all the nooks and crannies. Again, you really have to make sure that your stencil is burnished down, because you're going to be, I guarantee, you're going to be able to see with the one with the stickers what it looks like when the place is that lifted up. It's just going to be a stenciled blob. I took the labels off, and then I used Goo Gone, because some of the labels really had extremely adhesive, sticky stuff on it. Adhesive to get the labels to stay on. Why they had to be so strong, I don't know. So no amount of soaking was taking that off. So with some of them, I did use Goo Gone. So I'm hoping, and then with when you wash your jars completely with soap and water, I then also took rubbing alcohol and the cotton ball and cleared it off. But I'm hoping that it all came off, but maybe it didn't. Maybe that's why it's being so difficult. I don't know. Or as I said, depending on what the glass is made from, some of it etches, some of it doesn't. I saw it bubbling up in spots on that one, the one with the stickers. So we're just gonna have to see. You can see this is pretty much covered. Just making sure that everything that has the clear lines, that's where my etch is going to happen. So this is not a reverse print. I'm wanting the clear spots to be etched and the other spots to stay clear. So the stickers is a reverse etching. This is a regular etching. So I am pretty much done with this one. You can see everything's pretty covered. Beading up on the stencil part of it where it's not hitting the glass, but that's okay. Because we don't care. See, like this area right here where it's beading up, that's not going to be etched anyway, so it's okay. But you do just want to make sure you have a good thick coat. Not too thick where it's going to drip, but thick enough where it's going to really do its stuff. And I'm dabbing, tapping, not brushing. I'm just tapping away with those just to make sure that it gets in all the spots it has to get in. All right, so that one's done, you can see. So I'm going to set that one down. So they're all on there now. So now I'm just going to let them sit, rest for about 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll check them. Okay, it's been about 25 minutes. So I am going to check what we have. I'm putting on the plastic rubber gloves. I'm going to take a piece of paper towel and angle the camera down a little bit more so you can see this work surface. Let's take it off of one of the dots. So I'm going to pick one over here. I just want to wipe it away. As you can see, it's somewhat etched, but not as much as I would like. So I'm going to put a little bit more of the etching cream on. Like I said, some glasses just do not etch well. That's not bad though, that's getting there. So I'm gonna let that one sit for a little bit longer. I'm just gonna look around, see if anything else needs more of the etching cream on it. Everything else looks pretty good. So I'm gonna let that one sit for a little bit. I'm gonna see the one that's gonna be a mess. See how that's looking. Wipe a little bit of that away. Yep, that has etched. So let's rinse this one off because, as I said, I don't have high hopes for this one. This is what it looks like. Now, the nice thing about this etching cream is you can reuse it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to smooth away some of this. I'm not going to worry about saving too much of it, but if there's some here, some good chunks of it, I'm going to save it. And you can just put it right back in your bottle and reuse it. So I'm just taking some off. If for some reason this didn't etch all the way through, after you've rinsed it off, you just put more etching cream on. Dry it off and do it again. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I've scraped off some of that. Just move it over so I don't run into it. So now let's take this over to the sink and rinse this off. I am going to leave my stickers and stencils on as I rinse. So I'm going to angle the camera over so you can see what I'm doing. Again, this is a set tub. You want to make sure you have on gloves, protective eyewear, your apron, because this is runny. You don't want to let this get in your eye. So keep your water on kind of low. All right. What I am seeing just by doing that little bit is that has not etched at all. This is going to be one of the difficult glasses. So I'm going to stop rinsing this one off and put some more etching cream on it, because that doesn't look like it's done anything, and I don't know if it will take to the etching cream or not. Let's wipe off a little bit of this one. Let's see if this one is ready. That's not as etched as I would like either. So let's wipe this off and put some more cream on. So I've come back over to my station here that's been covered. I'm going to wipe off some of the water. Wipe off the area that I tried to rinse. Go back into my etching cream and put some more on. The areas where I rinsed it off, I'm going to put more on. And as long as I'm doing it, I'm going to just kind of go over everything here. Add more. Like I said, when you're using certain jars, it may take to the etching cream, it may not, you just don't know. There's no way to test to see what kind of jars are going to work and which aren't. It's really just a trial and error process. So let's get that all full of some more etching cream here. The whole area, especially on where I tried to rinse. And we're going to let that sit, making sure that's on. We're going to let that one sit. I'm going to dry it off. I'm going to put some more on just to see what's going to happen. This one I am probably going to let sit for an hour now, since this one is being very difficult and it doesn't look like it did anything. I'm going to let this one sit for about an hour. This may just be one of those jars that it's not going to take very well. So we're going to let these sit. That's all covered now. We're going to let that sit for a little bit longer. I'm going to wipe my brush off. And now we wait some more. Okay, it's been on for over an hour. I'm going to wash it completely just to see what's going to happen. Again, remember, have your eyes protected, have your hands protected. And we're going to rinse. And you can see this particular glass, it is not etching at all. So this jar was a fail all the way around. Let's try the dots. I'm going to wipe it a little bit just to see. That looks like it did work. And turn the water off just because I don't have a drain guard. So I am going to take these stickers off because I do not think I'm going to have a problem rinsing this. So I'm going to just scrape all these stickers off for this one. I'm going to leave this stencil on, but all my paper stickers are off. Rinse. Carefully rinsing to make sure that it's not splashing. So with this one, you can see, I'm going to take this sticker off now. If you take them off carefully, you should be able to reuse them depending on what they are. So I'll be able to reuse that. Take that little dot off. So it's very kind of pale. I'm hoping you can see it because it's up against a white background. Maybe if I hold it against the pink glove, you can see, but it did etch. The dots are faint, but they are there. So I've just rinsed it here to get the etching cream off. I will take it to my other sink and I will wash it with soap and water as well. I'm going to put my glove back on. We're going to try the other stencil. I'm going to wipe it just a little bit. Yes, I can see that has etched. You can see that it's still kind of a cloudy color there, as opposed to, see how clear that was. It's starting to do it, so I think if I maybe leave this one on overnight, it might work. So let's rinse this one. Just following the lines of my stencil. I'm doing it carefully so I can reuse this. So it's a little hard to tell when you still have the etching cream, I mean, when you still have the stencil on. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to gently try to peel all of this away. You just want to go slowly because these stickers are not that strong. Depending on what kind of vinyl you use, I did not make these. Not sure what material it is. So again, I'm going to peel each part off so I can try to save the stencil to reuse it. I might be able to, might not. See, just slowly peeling. Pulling each of these off. Glass etching is not a quick process. You have to have some patience with this, especially depending on the type of jar you're using. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to save all of this. Like when you have a very detailed stencil, like these bigger pieces, those are somewhat easy to save, but those little tiny pieces, those are very difficult to try to keep. Peel away my painter's tape. And then take away this outer edging. And there you can see, again, this light's very hard. Once I get upstairs and after I've washed it with some soap and water, I'll film again and I'll put something inside of it so you can see that it is there. In taking a closer look at this, it does look like it has etched. So I'm going to take the stickers off and continue to rinse it, just to see what's happening with it. So I will rinse this one. So it's hard to tell. I do see some etching. You can see how clear, I don't know if it's showing in the camera, very clear on the bottom. It feels etched. Yeah, I guess it did. All right, it did. So let's take the rest of the stickers off. That's why these white gloves are not as good to use because your stickers stick to them. Let me put that other glove on. These work better. Okay, so I'm going to take, and again, be careful because when you're taking your stickers off, because you can see cream has gotten underneath. These puffy stickers just were not that good to use. I had much better luck with the paper ones. And like I said, I did not glue the circles down, but I had to glue these swirls on. But you can see, the hot glue comes right off. So we're picking all of those off. That was a paper. And I'm going to pick at There we go. I've got those little clear glue dots. Those take a little work to get off, but they do come right off. I'm trying to be careful so they don't go flying everywhere. So you can, if you take a jar, you can use a glue gun to make your patterns, dots, stripes, wavy lines. That will work. Okay, I think I got everything off, so let's rinse. Give it a really good rinse. You can see there's a little bit of hot glue left on there. This one is very faint, but there is stenciling there. Again, I'm going to wash this with soap and water up in my other sink, but that did work. So some jars are better left on an hour, and like I said, the longer you leave it on, the better the stenciling will be. It won't hurt to have it on. So even though it says, package says 10, I say 15 to 20, and then some of them really need the hour. So you can see I really had some mixed results with the jars. This one turned out really nice. This was the stencil that the library had made for me that turned out really, really beautiful. This little one also was really cute. This is the one that had all the little book dots on it. So you can really see that etched nicely and really cute. And this was the one that we weren't so sure about. It's really not that bad. You can see that it did etch all the way through. You can see like through here, you know, it really did seep underneath. So I didn't get a really great etch with it, but then some of them did turn out really well. So you never know what you're going to get. The nice thing is, because you're using recycled materials, if you make a mistake, just go ahead and recycle it. But it's a lot of fun. I hope you try it. Thank you for joining me with Crafting with Kimberly, Kimberly Canelli. See you next time.